Now, it was AD 55, the graduation service.
सन् 55 मा दीक्षान्त समारोह भयो.
Now, upon the graduation, Paul divided two groups. First groups, pastoral groups. Send them back to their own local church as a well-trained pastor in the province of Asia.
दीक्षान्त समारोहपछि पावलले उनीहरूलाई दुई समूहमा विभाजन गरे. पहिलो चाहिँ पास्टरको समूह जसलाई पावलले तालिम प्राप्त पास्टरको रूपमा एसिया प्रदेशका आफ्नै मण्डलीमा फिर्ता पठाए.
The second group, I would say around 30 of them, Jesus anointed them as a missionary.
दोस्रो समूह चाहिँ करिब 30 जना जतिलाई प्रभु येशूले मिशनरीको रूपमा अभिषेक गर्नुभयो.
Paul sent these 30 well-trained missionaries to world center in the Roman Empire, which is Rome.
पावलले ती तालिम प्राप्त मिशनरीलाई रोममा पठाए.
Because it was a Paul's strategy to evangelize city of Rome first. Okay? Concentrating on those leaders in the military society in the city of Rome.
रोमी साम्राज्यका सुसमाचार प्रचारको निम्ति यो पावलको मिसन थियो कि पहिलो रोम शहरमा भएका सिपाहीहरू र उच्च अहोदाका मानिसहरूलाई सुसमाचार सुनाउने.
So they became the missionaries to Rome and high-ranking Roman hierarchical people. So what year was it? 55.
त्यसैले ती मानिसहरू उच्च अहोदाका मानिसहरूलाई सुसमाचार प्रचारको निम्ति रोममा मिशनरीहरू भए जुन सन् 55 मा थियो.
These people, as they are ministering in 55, beginning in 55, they're concerned that it was very difficult for teaching the gospel, essence of the gospel, to the higher level of government officers and military leaders. It was their requirement to Paul by way of asking Paul, would you write down theology? It should be very systematic theology to convince those high-ranking Roman bureaucratic people.
अनि सेवकाई गर्दै जाने क्रममा ती मिशनरीहरूलाई रोमका उच्च अहोदाका मानिसहरूलाई सुसमाचार प्रचार गर्न साह्रै गाह्रो भयो र उनीहरूले पावललाई ती मानिसहरूलाई सिकाउनको निम्ति एउटा सुव्यवस्थित सुसमाचार लेखेर पठाउन विन्ती गरे.
That was the beginning of Paul writing the book of Rome.
यो चाहिँ पावलको रोमीहरूलाई पत्र लेख्नुको कारण थियो.
Paul wrote Romans in Corinth because he did not write the Romans letter from Ephesus. Okay? He wrote that in Corinth. I'll tell you why in Corinth.
पावलले कोरन्थीबाट रोमीलाई पत्र लेखे. उनले यो एफिसीबाट लेखेका होइनन् तर कोरन्थीबाट लेखेका हुन् जुन कुरा म बताउने छु.
In Ephesus, he wrote what letter? 1st and 2nd Corinthians. Okay? Now, in Corinth, later, that was 55. This is a 57 here. Okay? In the 57, he wrote Romans.
सन् 55 मा पावलले एफिसीबाट पहिलो र दोस्रो कोरिन्थीको पत्र लेखे अनि सन् 55 मा कोरिन्थीबाट उनले रोमीलाई पत्र लेखे।
So let me tell you some background.
यो रोमीलाई लेखेको पत्रको केही पृष्ठभूमि बताउँछु म।
After 2 years teaching ministry in Ephesus, Paul performed all kinds of miraculous ministries in Ephesus.
2 वर्षको सिकाउने सेवकाईपछि पावलले एफिसीमा विभिन्न किसिमका आश्चर्य कर्मको सेवकाई गरे।
During the time of 2 years of Tyrannus school ministry, he was known to Ephesians as a Christian leader.
त्यो 2 वर्षको एफिसीको सेवकाईको क्रममा मानिसहरूले पावललाई सेवकको रूपमा चिनिसकेका थिए।
However, this city, Ephesus, was a very much well-known city in the empire, Roman Empire, known as a Babylonian religion god, and his temple called Artemis temple. Artemis means, right, where is Artemis? Right here. Artemis is a name of Semiramis. Who is Semiramis? Nimrod's wife.
अनि यो एफिसी शहरमा चाहिँ रोमी साम्राज्यको बेबिलोनी धर्मको अर्तेमिस देवीको मन्दिर पनि थियो। यी अर्तेमिस चाहिँ बेबिलोनी धर्मकी देवी सेमिरामिस हो जो निम्रोदकी श्रीमती थिइन्।
It's a most huge temple of Artemis was built in Ephesus. Even today, that temple is one of the a well-known temple even today.
एफिसीमा अर्तेमिस देवीको धेरै ठुलो मन्दिर निर्माण गरिएको थियो। आज पनि त्यो मन्दिर एकदमै प्रख्यात छ।
Paul tried to convince the good news of Jesus to those Babylonian religion related peoples. So God gave him that such a miraculous power, casting out demons ministries. Here, Acts 19, verses 11-20.
अनि जसै पावल ती बेबिलोनी धर्म मान्ने मानिसहरूलाई येशू ख्रीष्टको सुसमाचार प्रचार गर्न थाले, तब परमेश्वरले उनलाई भूत र दुष्ट आत्माहरू निकाल्ने शक्ति दिनुभयो। प्रेरित 19 को 11 देखि 20 पद।
People who were making money out of that temple businesses, okay? And to them, Paul addressed very boldly against that. You people, you are serving wrong God, okay? And you carved wooden idols and stone idols and serving them. So you are doing wrong businesses because of that Paul's teachings on these idol worshipping issues. Those idol making business people got very much upset toward Paul. So the city uproared, city people uproared, okay, as a group, rolling that, let us kill that guy. He is the enemy of our business.
पावलले ती मूर्ति बनाउने र बेच्नेलाई पनि उनीहरूले गरेका काम गलत हो भनी साहससँग बताए अनि ती मूर्ति बनाएर बेच्ने मानिसहरूको नेतृत्वमा पावललाई मार्न भनी पुरै सहरै ओर्लिएर आयो।
Okay. There was a God's time came in order to have Paul depart from the city of Ephesus. That had happened.
वास्तवमा पावलले एफिसस छोड्ने परमेश्वरको समय आइपुगेको हुनाले त्यो सबै कुराहरू भएको थियो।
Because of that riot, and his disciples advised him, "Sir, would you leave this town?"
त्यो विरोध र आक्रमणको कारण पावलका चेलाहरूले पावललाई एफिसस सहर छोड्ने सल्लाह दिए।
He was going to go back to Antioch, but there are still some other jobs to do. So the Holy Spirit guided him to go back to Macedonia, which is right, Philippi. It is Philippi and Macedonia. This is the province of Macedonia. So Paul, traveled to Macedonia, and also he went down to Greece. Okay? Greece, including here Achaia, that means Corinth. So now, because of the riot, he came down to here, all the way to Corinth, right here, for 3 months. Acts 20, verses 2 and 3.
पावल एफिसीबाट एन्टियोखिया फर्कने थिए किनकि त्यहाँ केही काम बाँकी थियो अनि उनी माकेडोनिया हुँदै ग्रीसको अखैयामा पुगे जुन कोरिन्थ हो अनि पावल त्यहाँ 3 महिनासम्म रहे। प्रेरित 20 को 2देखि 3 पद।
When he was in Corinth, he got messages from his missionaries in Rome. How many of them? 30 missionaries, okay, in Rome, asking Paul, now you are near us here, okay? Now you are in Corinth. Would you give us special writing on the key messages on Christian doctrines for us?
जसै उनी कोरिन्थमा थिए तब उनले रोममा भएका करिब 30 जना मिशनरीबाट एउटा खबर पाए जहाँ उनीहरूले पावललाई ईसाई विश्वासको महत्त्वपूर्ण शिक्षा र सिद्धान्तहरू लेखेर पठाउन अनुरोध गरे।
Because we need that to teach Roman high-ranking officers in order to convince them so that they will be expanding the gospel throughout the Roman Empire. So we really need organized, systemized books dealing with Christian major doctrine.
उनीहरूले हो भने कि हामीलाई एउटा सुव्यवस्थित ईसाई शिक्षा र सिद्धान्तको लिखित पुस्तक चाहियो जसद्वारा हामी यहाँका उच्च अहोदाका मानिसहरूलाई सुसमाचार बुझाउन सकौं ताकि उनीहरू रोमी साम्राज्यभरि त्यो प्रचार गर्न सकुन्।
By this time, Paul wrote, here at the end of the first missionary journey, 46 to 48, at the end of the missionary journey, he wrote Galatians in 49, which we studied that.
यति बेलासम्म पावलले लेखेको पत्रहरू चाहिँ पहिलो मिसन यात्रा सकेर सन् 49 मा गलातीको पत्र लेखे जुन हामीले सिकिसकेका छौं।
These missionary groups, they have that Galatian letter. Okay, but that Galatian letter was not good enough to convince those high-ranking Roman intellectuals.
यी मिशनरीहरूको साथमा त्यो गलातीको पत्र त थियो तर रोमका उच्च अहोदाका मानिसहरूलाई सुसमाचार बुझाउनको निम्ति त्यो पर्याप्त थिएन।
And also Paul here, during the second missionary journey, he wrote in 51. He wrote 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. We've studied that.
अनि पावलले दोस्रो मिसन यात्राको क्रममा सन् 51 मा पहिलो र दोस्रो थेस्लोनीको पत्र पनि लेखेका थिए, जुन कुरा पनि हामीले सिकिसकेका छौं।
That first and second Thessalonians is not sufficient enough to teach these intellectual, high-ranking academic people.
अनि त्यो थेस्लोनिकीको पत्र पनि यो रोममा भएका उच्च अहोदाका शैक्षिक मानिसहरूलाई सिकाउनको निम्ति पर्याप्त थिएन।
In 55, during the time of the third missionary journey, he just finished up what book? First and second Corinth, where? In Ephesus.
अनि उनको तेस्रो मिसन यात्राको क्रममा उनले एफिसीमा पहिलो र दोस्रो कोरिन्थीको पत्र लेखेर भर्खर सकेका थिए।
This first and second Corinthians are not a doctrinal book. This first and second Corinthians are, we call that pastoral books. How to pastor Christians.
यी पहिलो र दोस्रो कोरिन्थीको पत्रहरू चाहिँ सैद्धान्तिक पुस्तकहरू नभएर पास्टरीय पत्रहरू थिए, जहाँ मण्डलीमा सेवकाई कसरी गर्ने भनी लेखिएको छ।
Now it's a time for writing doctoral books. So the Holy Spirit requesting by Holy Spirit used these 30 missionaries, requesting Paul to write the doctrinal books.
अब चाहिँ एउटा सैद्धान्तिक पुस्तक लेख्ने समय आएको थियो अनि परमेश्वरले ती रोममा भएका मिशनरीहरूलाई प्रयोग गर्नु भएर यसको निम्ति माग गर्न प्रेरित गर्नुभयो।
Okay, so that here in Corinth, for 3 months period time, where he was settling there, he began to write down book of Romans.
त्यसैले कोरिन्थीको 3 महिनाको बसाइको समयमा पावलले रोमीहरूलाई पत्र लेख्न सुरु गरे।
Structure of Romans, which you are well, informed.
रोमीहरूलाई लेखेको पत्रको बनावट यस्तो छ जुन तपाईहरुलाई थाहै छ।
First 8 chapters, you know that's the key Christian theology. Very, very important theology described in the first 8 chapters, Rome. Because that is a key message, in the
सुरुका 8 वटा
entire Bible.
अध्यायहरू मुख्य ईसाई ईश्वर शास्त्र सम्बन्धी छन्, जहाँ धेरै महत्त्वपूर्ण शिक्षाहरू छन् जुन चाहिँ सम्पूर्ण बाइबलको मूल शिक्षाहरू छन्।
Genesis is kind of this mountain, and 5 laws of Moses, Genesis and Exodus and Leviticus, all this like that. Then Isaiah, all the New Testament, Old Testament. Then here Romans chapter 8, it's a high peak. Romans chapter 1 and 8. Then small mountains like that.
तपाई यो रेखा कोरेको हेर्नुस्, जहाँ पुरा बाइबललाई हेर्ने हो भने रोमी 1 देखि 8 सम्मको भाग चाहिँ मुख्य केन्द्रमा र उच्चमा छ भने रोमी 8 अध्याय चाहिँ सबैभन्दा उच्च टाकुरा हो भन्न सकिन्छ।
Within entire 66 books of the Bible, Romans is high, but at the peak is here Romans chapter 8. First 8 chapters are key, highest mountain, Mount Everest. But out of the 8 chapters, chapter 8 is the top.
पृथ्वीको सर्वोच्च शिखर सगरमाथा जस्तै बाइबलको उच्च शिखर रोमी 1 देखि 8 अध्याय हो भने रोमी 8 अध्याय चाहिँ त्यसको चुचुरो हो।
There was God's divine time arrives. That's why in His divine time, a time for writing the key gospel messages, Christian messages, under these circumstances, historical circumstances.
अब परमेश्वरको उचित समय आएको हुनाले यो ऐतिहासिक पृष्ठभूमिमा ईसाई विश्वासको सबैभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण सैद्धान्तिक पुस्तक लेखियो।
Chapters 9, 11. This is another key message. Chapter 9, chapter 10, 11. This is only 3 chapters dealing with exclusively the relationship between Jews and Gentiles.
अनि दोस्रो खण्डमा रोमी 9 देखि 11 सम्मको 3वटा अध्यायहरूले यहुदीहरू र अन्य जातिहरूको सम्बन्धको बारेमा विस्तृत रूपमा सिकाउँछ।
And then why Jewish people are not Christians? Why they are blinded? Why only Gentiles are Christians? Until when? And he said, all this Gentile and Jews relationship information was here.
यी 3वटा अध्यायहरूले किन यहुदीहरू चाहिँ विश्वासी छैनन् अनि अन्य जातिहरू मात्र विश्वासमा छन् अनि कहिलेसम्म यस्तो हुनेछ भनी विस्तृत रूपमा बताउँछन्।
Also, remaining chapters, chapter 16, 12 to 15. Chapter 12, Romans 12 is very well known. Therefore, live your life, transform yourself, and don't follow the world, this worldly, things. But you just you change it, transform your life, and according to the will of God, and so on. All this start dealing with. Therefore, you have to live your life according to what God says. So that story is chapter 12, chapter 13, chapter 14, 15.
अनि 12 देखि 15 सम्मका 4 अध्यायहरूले यस कारण अब हामी हाम्रो ईसाई जीवन कसरी जिउनु पर्छ त भनी सिकाउँछन्, जहाँ मुख्य रूपमा संसारको ढाँचामा नचल्नु र पूर्ण रूपमा परिवर्तित भएको नयाँ जीवन जिउनु पर्छ लेखिएको छ।
The guidelines for Christian livings.
जुन चाहिँ ईसाई जीवनको मार्गनिर्देशकहरू हुन्।
At the last chapter, chapter 16, Bible greeted those about 30 missionaries. Okay, 30 missionaries' names recorded right here in chapter 16. 30 missionaries means they are 30 of them. What? They were graduate out of school of Tyrannus. Okay, doing full-time missionary job where in Rome.
अन्तिम 16 अध्यायमा करिब 30 जना जति मानिसहरूको नाम र उनीहरूलाई गरिएको अभिवादन छ, जो टुरान्नासको स्कुलमा तालिम पाएर रोमको सबै क्षेत्रहरूमा रहेर मिशनरीको सेवा गरिरहेका थिए।
Eventually, they were the one requested Paul to write this book of Romans.
वास्तवमा तिनीहरूले नै पावललाई यो पत्र लेख्नको निम्ति अनुरोध गरेका थिए।